I guarantee if I gave you a million choices to pick what would be the first thing I said, this Lestislav Kozlov would not be it. Gotta keep you guessing, people. Can't be too predictable, especially considering I say the same things every day. Oy vey, Gosha Vega. What's happening? Watched Casino last night. You know, it's just interesting. It's, you know, the star of the movie is the J, right? De Niro is playing a J. Interesting. What's up, Matt? Guten Morgen. Wie geht's? But I mean, you know, that whole mafia stuff, I've watched a few of your older videos, and your hair was wicked back then. Not sure which videos my hair was wicked. You talking about when it was shorter? Well, it was always shorter than it is today. You should be watching the music videos. The music videos are where it's at. 2 turntables and a microphone. I want to see some young looking guy videos. I don't even have any gray in those. Take a good way, no wind, lie in. Oh, I fucking hate afros now. It's really weird. Like, I think it looks stupid. It's strange. I don't know what happened, but I just think, like, I guess you know, being this person has ruined a lot of shit for me, right? And like, when it comes to so much of this narrative we're given, you know, it's just that. I mean, did you watch Hollywoodism like you were supposed to do? You were supposed to go watch Hollywoodism. That was your homework. You were supposed to do it. I specifically told you you were supposed to do it. What's up, dog? Big fat dog. But I mean, it really is, like, it's almost overwhelming. You know, it's almost overwhelming having a true understanding. Yet I work night shifts. The past 2 nights caught a brief. It is what it is. At least you've got your hairpiece and not sporting a hairpiece. Yeah, that would be nice. Or that would be terrible. I am very lucky to be my age and still have this much, even though, you know, you can see it's thinning quite significantly towards the top, and if I ever cut it again, it'll never grow again. Which is why I still have it. I would have cut it a long fucking time ago, but I know it'll never grow back, so. Yeah. I don't know, I'm getting to this point where I'm rejecting them in everything. I'm rejecting their stupid programming. Like, they, you know, the Goyim are stupid on purpose. And, you know, shit like an afro. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, it looks silly. You know, it just looks silly. Big old poof on your head. And I would imagine the Jays sitting around laughing at us. Look at them, they're stupid. Even though the Jays rock the afros too. The Jays are the only ones that can actually grow a decent afro besides the black guys. I mean, I don't know. It really does come down to Hollywoodism with everything I'm doing and everything that sort of motivates me and it makes me question things. Like I have to question it. I have to wonder, what's it all about? How did afros become a popular style? And if it's because afros were on TV, then they were on TV because the Jays wanted them to be. No, it's not. Hair is cool, but the interest in your hair totally bemuses me. I don't get it. Well, it's because my hair is awesome. I made a comic here. No, Karen's just confused and thinking you're one of the clowns, I think. It's all about trying to cause stuff down. No, not Matt. Matt's actually a pretty decent character. I mean, I don't know the type of person he is or anything. I don't know Matt. But the character that he portrays, Matt the Visionary, is a decent dude. It's a weird place to be, I can tell you that. Like yeah, I look at everything like this. I mean, I do this. I'm just different, I guess. I look at everything. I just look at everything. You know, I don't just. It's not like I see stuff and I'm just like, oh, do. You know, I'm fucking looking at it. I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. I'm trying to figure things out. I'm open-minded. You actually are super similar to me in a lot of ways. Even being so astounded that people can possibly be so ignorant. Well, I mean, again, people are ignorant because they want us to be. People are stupid because they want us to be, and they've been programmed with that their whole lives. Now, what separates us is the thing that I don't know. I don't understand what it is that makes certain people. Like, I don't know how anybody could watch Hollywoodism and think anything other than holy J conspiracy. My bad. Holy J conspiracy, you know? I don't know how you can. I don't know, man. I was in the same boat. I believed that we weren't supposed to talk about the Jays. I always kind of questioned it, like, why not? But I accepted it. And I was nervous. Like, it took me a long time to get to the position I'm in right now, where I can freely speak without any sort of pre-programmed, like, hesitation. You know, I no longer have that programmed shame, which is the buffer, the self-protection, the insulator. You know, if they have you believing that you're not supposed to say certain things, you're not supposed to talk about certain people, you're not supposed to even see certain things, I mean, you're less likely to. But again, you know, it's not even like I didn't grow up with me. My dad was definitely a different thinker, and you know, my mom was you know, my parents are both really smart. My mom's family narrative, I believe to be a lie. You know, I believe that we are Operation Paperclip. But of course that can't be talked about. And like, again, people just don't realize, like, this being this person has cost me literally hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know, when my grandmother died, considering I was supposed to get mine and my mom's share of the will, and my grandmother was pretty well off. Again, Operation Paperclip probably paid pretty well. You know, I asked questions I wasn't supposed to ask. I didn't know I wasn't supposed to ask the questions. But being this person and sticking to my guns has literally cost me thousands of dollars. I was specifically commenting on your internet. It was the same. It was more of a general comment as some of the troublesome trolls. Yeah, well, who cares? I mean, obviously, if the answer to that question is why do they focus on my hair? Because they can't focus on anything else. They can't. If they could debunk something I'm saying, they would. That's simple. But as a child, you know, yeah, my mom didn't make me go to church, but I had an uncle and an aunt who I spent a lot of time with, and they would take me to church. And there were a couple of times when I went like with friends and stuff. But I remember being a small child, the youngest I can remember being at church, maybe like 8 or 9, I don't know, 7, I don't know. And just sitting there like looking around kind of in awe. Like, I'm not supposed to think like this. I'm not supposed to think fantasy bullshit. Why are you allowed to? Yep, that's what it is. Yet somebody else is trying to get me to stop talking about the Jays. Why are so many people concerned with my life? With me, you know, how I look, how I dress, how I think. Why does that bother so many people? I mean, the fact is, submarines are not real. That shouldn't bother anyone. They should be like, this guy's goofy, and that's that. Or wonder why this guy's saying this. You know, something along those lines. But instead, it's all just stupid shit. You know, I'm not concerned with myself leveling up nearly as much as I am society leveling up. How do we level up as society? Well, that involves removing the J's. Once you go on the internet, I have the right to judge. Nobody said. See, do you see what I mean? Like, do you see how stupid this is? The stupidity in you know, in arguing their own narrative, not mine. I say things. I'm pretty articulate. I'm pretty clear. I don't mince my words very much. But you see how this idiot is then responding like I said, you don't have the right to judge me. Huh? How dare you? Wasn't like that. The point, for those desperately trying not to see the point, is that I do go live and I talk about the most controversial things possible. And instead of trying to show how smart you are by engaging in those things and potentially debunking what I'm saying, you're more concerned with my looks because you're a dude who's concerned with my looks. Okay. Like, it's just silly because they've nothing intellectual or contributory to the debate. Right? I can't debate guy, he's so intellectual. I mean, clearly, you're so stupid that you say the wrong thing. You don't even make the right arguments. You know, you're not. If you go, I can judge you. Like, you're that stupid, and you clearly prove it because you're here every day for hours at a time, And you just keep trying to get attention instead of actually debating or debunking anything I have to say. I mean, you're the one that makes this obvious. You're the one that makes the argument. I just pointed out, if you were more capable or more intelligent, you'd show off. That's how we are. No, I've already thought about all these things, man, but they don't put food on the table. Yeah, but the table is getting blown to bits by our American fucking bombs and planes and all that shit. What about that? Where does responsibility and accountability for your brothers and sisters come in? Oh, it's a good thing your parents happen to have sex here in the United States, or your grandparents happen to have sex here in the United States. Grandpa had grandma bent over the bed. Fucking A, whose pussy is that? Fuck yeah. Who? Come on, Mildred. Come on, Mildred. Whose pussy is that? That's my pussy, Mildred. And she's like, oh, Elmer, give it to me, Elmer. Elmer, oh, put your pinky finger in my asshole. Oh. Well, your grandparents were like that. Why do people not want to think about their grandparents like that? You should absolutely be hoping that your grandparents have a very, very active sex life. Bro, you are around all day, blah, 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 blah. I mean, yeah, they go with their parole officer. Yep. See what I mean? So desperate to try to get anything. Like, where would that one even come from? Where would the parole officer idea even? It's just such desperate nonsense. Yeah, I guess if you stick around long enough, you might figure it out. I don't know how smart you are. My brother and sisters would probably robbed me and stabbed me if they got a chance and there was no law. Isn't that gross? That's exactly the point of this. The fact is, that's how average white guy thinks about the world. That especially people of color are going to stab me and rob me. If we weren't overly policed like we are horrible. We would be doing bad things to each other. Like, look at this. Look again, Harrisburg shop. That's that's a J profile, an admitted J profile, and it just shows you how unbelievably stupid these J's are. They just can't help but prove it. What do you mean? It's reality, man. This is a jungle. No, it's not. See, this is the problem. This is exactly why you need to watch Hollywoodism. Hollywoodism will explain to you why you feel the way you do. And you feel the way you do, especially about your brethren, because the Jays want you to. They want you, like, what you deem to be reality is not real. It's completely manufactured. And when you're talking about reality, are you talking about the thing that's on TV, the shit that they show you? What's a J? A chosen piece of shit. One of God's chosen people. A J. Understand that. Like it's all manufactured. And the thing is, I say this all the time, if I make Hollywoodism and instead I use people of color, and instead of saying we, I say they, that movie is going to get panned. That movie is going to get shit talked left and right. It's going to be the worst. How dare somebody make such an anti-Semitic movie with all the anti-Semitism tropes. They'll keep saying tropes. It's tropes. These are tropes. And yet, when they make the movie, nobody bats an eye at it. Nobody even knows about it because it's not for you. It's a movie for them. I would imagine a lot more Jays have seen this random movie than you would think. You know? Wouldn't he be good if he's God's chosen? Guess you're just missing it, huh? Looks like we're having difficulty maintaining our people today. Strangely enough. The people that want to be here, the good people, they're gone. But see, this is, you know, again, you could say what you want. I didn't pick this. Oops. I didn't pick this fucking, this persona. I didn't pick this path. This is just the way it is. If I could pick to be something else, if I could pick to be, you know, first of all, I'd fucking convert to J. Fucking A, why not? But if I could just choose it, okay, you know what? Instead of seeing the genocide taking place right now and it concerning me, instead of being worried about the Hollywood pedos, the government pedos, the whole pedo situation, what I'm going to believe is, as long as attacks against Israel, attacks against Israel, 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 Israel. So many of these shows are about Israel and how Israel is under attack and we need to protect them. This time it's Pakistan that's getting them. It's disgusting. It's just disgusting. And I'm sorry, again, if I could choose to be low-level selfish, I would be. Okay, if I just shut the fuck up and I don't point any of this stuff out and I just listen to the Jays and believe they're God's chosen people, that when I die, all of my sins will be forgiven and I'll go to heaven and I can live up in heaven with all of my other family members who will be waiting for me. So many ignorant no-lifes in this chat. Well, but they're working. That once you understand that they're working, that they're getting paid to be here, Matt, it makes more sense. This is Team Jorge. I'm telling you guys. Like, do you see other people that get this? Even random truthers, they don't get what I get. Most random truthers are allowed to exist and you know, allowed to have a pretty decent following and maybe even make a living off of it, like Alex Jones. Anomaly. Well, to be honest, that's probably true. Of course it is. Of course it is. Do we honestly think there are just fucking losers out there who have nothing else going on in life, so they wait for me to go live because they hate me so much that they want to come in here and get mad and try to interfere with the guy who thinks we should cut off the Jays and kill the pedos? Who is going to be mad about that? Who is going to be mad about that? What I'm talking about is beneficial to everyone. Everyone but the Jays benefits from what I'm saying. And, you know, actually they do too. I mean, I am running for president in 2028. Gotta keep reminding you guys that. And in 2028, when I win, I'm going to run on the platform that all Jays go to Israel. We let Israel have its Israel. I'm sorry, Palestinians, you're going to lose out on this part, but since you're already clearly losing out thanks to Trump, then you know, we'll provide you with a better situation. But I get your point. There obviously is no logical argument against you. There never is. There never is. And you would think, like, at the very least, there would be something along those lines. You know? Especially if they were real people and their whole goal was to, you know, be that low. You know what I'm talking about. If you're going to take the time to watch me for hours and set your alarms and all that, why wouldn't you take some time to, learn? Maybe you can debunk me in some way. Can't argue. Of course you can't argue. You have nothing to say. You're stupid. What intelligent thing could you say? How could anyone argue that there's not a J conspiracy? How do you do that? Based on what? Makes you paranoid and just your brain doesn't stop and you keep overthinking everything. I mean, you're talking about way too much here.
What's making you overthink?
Great. And what are you even talking about?
Because you've been like this since I met you. Like,
it's the truth.
That's what you do.
I don't sleep. Right? And I finally started getting old enough that I pass out early. I used to stay up midnight or so, and then come 6 in the morning, blink, 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 sun's up, let's go. But I don't, why would how I choose, why would it even matter to you? If this is how I choose to live my life, or this is how I'm forced to live my life, because again, I don't choose this. I wish I could say I chose it because then I could not choose it. I could make everything nice and easy and just go along with the program. Oh, it's the weed that's doing it. Yep, it's the weed. Must be a non-smoker here. Is this a bong too? Yeah, it's not really good for your heart. Yeah. Oh, I need to sleep, bro. I sleep plenty now. Don't you worry. I go to bed after my kids do. Hey, that breathing just lying. Again, what are you talking about? It's not like I'm sitting here going, man, my thoughts have me just so crazy. This is that. Like, this is either a bot or this is somebody who is trying to project their distraction on me. Look, because you can sleep at night knowing that the Jays are raping children left and right in Hollywood and throughout the government, that there's a fucking genocide taking place right now, that Americans are going to go die here soon, and like this whole situation is going to get much worse before it gets better. If you can live your life like that, that's you. I don't get it. I have no idea how anybody can do that. I want my kids, my grandkids, their kids, and kids and kids and kids to no longer live under the Semitism supremacy. Semitism is supremacy. They flat out tell you that. And most of you don't know it. Only thing you guys know about Semitism is that you shouldn't express anti-Semitism. That's for damn sure. Hang on a second. Shalom. Welcome back. Sorry, I had to answer that phone call. Help out the neighbors. Yes, sir. How you doing? Yeah, no problem. Yeah, you're walking in too many circles. You walk too much in your videos. I'd answer for what you're saying, but you walk too much. I don't like when people walk. Like it's stupid. Think about how desperate you have to be to like this person is sitting there desperately trying to come up with something. What can I say? What can I say? I can't address anything he's saying. I can't do what can I say? Oh, I know. You walk in circles. Oh, that's gonna get him. Ha 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 ha. I'm gonna get him. You watch. That's how this person is thinking. Like you actually sat there and thought about that and then fucking typed it in and hit enter thinking this'll get him. You walk because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, oh shit, I walk in circles? The fuck are you talking about? What a stupid ass. What a stupid ass. Like, just amazing. Like, again, so for all of you that are like sort of just on the fence or watching and you're not a dumbass Israeli troll, look at that. That's the same thing as them telling me I'm right. You know? They're basically saying, I know you're talking about all this controversial shit, and you're right, but you walk in circles. Yeah. Like, that's it. That's the best they can come up with. He's not going to tell me about how good Israel is or how good, give me some good stuff that the Jays bring the world or anything like that. Nothing. Just more and more stupidity. Yeah, you could think what you want. You think the person is just messing with me. If they're just messing with me, then why don't they mess with me more effective? Dude, do you understand that, like, especially because I'm this guy with this big ego and blah, 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 all this shit, right? The only way you're going to affect me, especially somebody that's here week after week, day after day, hour after hour, the only way you're actually going to negatively affect me is by making me look like I'm lying, selling porky pies. You know that to me, everything you're doing, like, motivates me. It makes me stronger. And remember, if somebody is going to they're going to take the time to mess with someone, usually they're going to focus in on something true. I mean, again, if you walk up to somebody on the streets and you're like, hey, you're 22 feet tall and you have spaghetti growing out of your head and your eyes are the same color as bright red frisbees and I don't know. I just any other stupid like you have octopus arms and you have tank treads for wheels. You have wheels instead of legs. They're gonna look at you and be like, well, okay, weirdo. Okay, and just go about their day. They might tell somebody later on that funny story. This guy walked up to me and told me I had tank treads for legs and it was 22 feet tall. And they'd be like, what? And they'd laugh and have a good time. Of course, if you're fat and I walk up to you and I say, hey, I'm sorry, but it really looks like you have a hard time with impulse control. And I want you to live the longest, healthiest life you can live. And you're clearly not doing that. You're not making good decisions. And I think I can help you not only lose weight, but just be a healthier person. You've already gotten punched. You've already gotten attacked. You couldn't even get that whole thing out before somebody fat's going to get all upset about it. What do you mean? You can't say I'm fat. I'm fat, so I'm big and beautiful. I'm a big black beautiful woman. You only affect people when it's something true. I was watching a Rattle video. Rattle is this guy who fucks with Pokemon scammers and shit. And there was this interaction that went down between two people who were Pokemon sellers and had similar names. And you know, all of that shit is them trying to copyright and make money off of somebody else's product. So it's just silly to begin with. But the obvious, like, there's two couples. There's the younger, you know, the girl is really good looking. The dude, I guess he's a decent looking guy. He's in good shape and whatnot. There's that couple. And then there's the fat couple. And the fat couple is the one that is completely aggressive. You know, we have this name and you need to cease and desist on this name and we blah, blah. And it's like, you're just copyrighting. You're just copying somebody else's shit. What are you talking about? But you hear the interviews between the two people, and the fat ones, she's like, I'm 4'11" and I did the right thing. And her interview was like an hour long, and she won't even let Rattle talk. She just keeps talking and over talking him, and she keeps trying to push the narrative instead of letting you. It's like a truther versus the official stuff. The official side doesn't say, look at this information, what do you think? The official side says, look at this information means this. If you think anything otherwise, you're a bad person, you're an anti-American, you're bad. And the truther video is always like, hey, did you know that there's this part, and this part along with that other part? What do you think? How do you think that works out? Like, that's the difference. And it's the same thing with these couples. You know, the younger, good-looking couple is like, yeah, this happens. You can see the video, and it's just weird. And they, you know, the fat ones, like, if you're fat, no offense. Well, yeah, offense meant. I'm less likely to believe you or take you seriously, just for being fat. You know why? Because you clearly make bad decisions. You clearly, like, are really stupid in this way. So why would I take what you're saying, you know, seriously? You're not very smart. And you just, it's always the same. Like, this was a video about Pokemon card sellers. This was a video, you know, just completely out of left field, but it's still the same shit. It's still the same fucking narratives. It's still the same, you know, the same stupidity, the same actions, just on a smaller scale. And what you'll see is when people are wrong, they try to control the narrative. They don't let you think for yourself. When people are right, they just present you with information. When I'm reading you guys multiple different Wikipedia pages, you know, of course I'm going to put in my opinion, but I'm reading what they want us to know. You've never seen me go to some conspiracy page to try to find some information so I can prove my story by finding some secondary source that says the same thing. You know, that I want you guys to hear the official narrative and sort of go through it with me. That's all we're doing. But when you know, I mean, look at it. Look at it's the same dumb narrative. It's always the same. You know, it's. I wish I could. You know, there are other things that I could bring up, but I don't want to. I just, you know, like I really hate this because I'm kind of in a bad spot. Makes me censor myself in ways I don't want to censor myself. But you know, it's always the same. It's just always the same. You know, there's a reason why anytime somebody stands up at any sort of press conference or hearing or you know, congressional whatever, somebody stands up and says, "What about this, and they get removed. They don't get their. I'm glad you asked that question. You know, I know a lot of people out there have the same question, and I want to answer that. You don't get that. You know, look at the Trump shooting. There's a great example. The aftermath, not even the fucking bullshit Trump shooting. I mean, again, if the Trump shooting was real, then there would be a whole shit ton of cell phone videos and live feeds from every single angle showing us exactly what happened. But after the fact, it's really, really telling because you get a Republican National Convention or whatever when Trump accepts the nomination and he comes out like, okay, so I'm going to tell you guys the story. Everybody's asking me what happened, and I'm going to tell you this story, and I'm only going to tell it one time. Only going to tell the story one time. If Trump, like, how many of you would get shot and be like, I'm not telling that story again? Doesn't anybody that gets shot want to tell people, like, look, I survived getting shot? But if you watch if you watch that whole thing and you just, Trump is literally trying to like create a narrative. It's not that he's recalling what happened. He's trying to control what you think. And the reason why he says, I'm only going to do it once and you know, never, because he's too stupid. He's too stupid to get the details the same. He's too stupid that if somebody else were to ask him or even grill him a little bit, he would crack. I'm not even talking to the Trump supporters here because you guys, I have no idea what you're even looking at. When you see Trump and Kamala debate, you see Trump and Biden debate, it's not even close. Like, he's a fucking idiot. The rumors that come out of Washington that he's really stupid, like he's a really stupid guy. He doesn't read anything, but he doesn't read his briefings. He doesn't know what's actually going on. It's clear in what he went in his presentation. When you're asking this man direct questions and he just keeps going, well, Biden, and you're like, oh, but what about you? Well, Biden. Mr. Trump, what are you going to do about the fentanyl epidemic? Well, Biden. Yeah, okay, but what are you going to do about the fentanyl epidemic? Well, Biden. Yes, Mr. Trump, we get it. But what are you going to do about the fentanyl epidemic? I'm going to answer that question. Biden. It's fucking stupid. And then after everything that went down, Trump gets shot and the Biden administration pulls all of their negative ads because he supposedly got shot? What? What? How would that work? You suddenly, because he got shot, you're no longer trying to win? And of course, like I never understand why why people aren't. I always say shit like I can't understand it, but there is the explanation. The explanation is that people don't want it. That's literally all it comes down to. You believe what you want to believe, 100% of the time. You could be presented with whatever you want or whatever somebody wants to, but you choose whether you'll believe it. You know, when I'm talking about whatever facts I'm giving you, reading it straight from the Wikipedia page, and you're like, I'm not gonna believe, like, because you barely remember what you were told in school, or your uncle might have said something at some, I don't even know. But you'll believe what you want to believe. And when it comes to the Trump thing, I've wondered from the beginning why the Trump supporters aren't more adamant, aren't more demanding as to where the fuck that all the footage is. Where's everything proving that this happened? Shut everyone up and just show us all the videos. It's because they want to believe that Trump got shot. They don't want to believe that Trump is just a company man and the system, the system was trying to ensure his victory, so they pulled a Ronnie Reagan. I mean, it parallels Reagan so much, it really is shocking. Obviously, Reagan was already the president. Beef, what's happening? When he got shot, but just the idea of like the hostages were being held until the day after Jimmy Carter was on and Reagan was in office. And you see the same shit. You see the same shit with the Israelis. And again, that this whole idea of a ceasefire and all this other shit. So we talk about this ceasefire, and then like a week or two later, Trump comes out talking about, we're going to take the Gaza Strip. What the fuck are you talking about? We're going to take it, we're going to remove all the people and put them wherever we decide they go. There hasn't been a ceasefire. The Israelis are killing left and right. So we didn't vote, says the dumbass. I love when people bring this up. So the time that Trump supposedly won, that election is good. Nothing wrong with that election. No one calling out that election. But both other times when Trump lost, that's a big deal. Because I love how dumb Trump supporters refuse, just like they refuse to acknowledge that Trump is who locked us down, COVID-19 bullshit. They refuse to acknowledge how Trump was best buddies with Epstein and then covered up his death. They also refuse to acknowledge that he lost the 2016 election by 2.7 million votes. And that swamp that he promised he was going to drain, the swamp full of jays, they put him in anyway. The ceasefire is about to end. There was no ceasefire. What are you talking about? What ceasefire? Israel has straight been killing people every day since the ceasefire. The ceasefire was only to further the illusion, because they didn't need the hostages illusion anymore. Right? The illusion of the hostages. There was no hostages taken on October 7th. Have you literally seen everyone that they claim as a hostage? They look the exact same as when they were taken a year plus earlier. Have you ever seen what happens to hostages? Physically, mentally, after even a month or two? At least if they're hostages being held in Israel. But there was no fucking hostages taken on October 7th. It's fake. Unless you're stupid, right? You believe that hostages can be taken by people on motorcycles and paragliders, apparently, on them. I don't even know how that worked, but that they were taking people hostage on motorcycles, huh? It's, saying, well, I can prove it to the point of, other than like physical evidence of, here, this is the government saying that they were fake. But if you just look at the narrative you're given, the idea that Israelis were held hostage for well over a year is bullshit. That's just not how Israel does things. And I know a lot of you haven't been you started following this story after October 7th. But this story has been going on much longer than that. And a great example of how Israel treats hostage situations is something that happened earlier in 2023. When some piece of shit J kid, some entitled J kid, was driving through the Gaza Strip, through the Palestinian territory, like an asshole, speeding, trying to run people off the road, throwing shit, like he was being a menace. And he crashed. And when he crashed, he either died in the crash or died at the hospital. We don't know. But he was dead at the hospital. And they took him to a Palestinian hospital because that was the closest one. So he must not have been dead yet. I don't know. Supposedly, his dead body was stolen from the hospital. And what happened, the response that happened on October 7th, where they just brought the full-on war machine that they surprisingly had ready, that response was they were going to do it for this. And they issued a statement saying that if they didn't get the body back, that they would unleash the full spectrum of the Israeli military on the Palestinians. They were going to do what they've done. And I think is cooler heads prevailed in that they were like, look, we can't do this yet. We can't say this is all over one dead kid who was driving like an asshole to begin with. And Netanyahu and company was like, but we want to start killing people. Come on. And they were like, no, you have to come up with some other fake narrative. Of course, the body was returned and the invasion was called off. But when you understand that Israel was willing to bring an invasion and commit genocide in order to get one dead body back, to think that they had well over, hundreds of hostages just out there living amongst the people in the areas that they were bombing relentlessly, it just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't fit the narrative that they've already given. Israeli lives are worth way more than anyone else's. And so when like how do you bomb an area where your hostages could be? How do they know their hostages weren't there? They were right. They somehow successfully managed to bomb the shit out of an entire population without killing their own hostages. How? It's all bullshit. It really is. And it goes like it's bullshit start to finish. I did something none of you did. I know none of you did this. So, it's almost like I'm a black belt in this, and you guys, none of you are even close. You're all like blue belts and shit. Green belts. But November 7th, 2023, I went to the Wikipedia page for Israel-Hamas War 2023. I went to the official locked up page. No one's allowed to edit it. You're only allowed to edit it back then. You were only allowed to edit it if you had, 150 previous edits. Then you could be approved by the first committee. And if the first committee approved you, then you could be approved by the second committee, and then you'd be allowed to edit the page. Now, they've changed Wikipedia since then. And it's just a coincidence, I'm sure, that they made their system more difficult to navigate after I started using it to my advantage. You know, again, I'm sure it's just coincidence, but you used to be able to go to the page, click on edit history, and then just click back till you got to the first edit. It was really easy. Now it's like it's a lot more difficult. I wasn't able to figure out how to do it last time. Didn't put a whole bunch of effort in, but I just noticed it was changed. But when I did on November 7th, I did exactly that. I went to the page, I clicked on edit history, and I went back to the first edit made on the page. I don't know if that's the page itself being created, but that's the first edit. And the first edit made on that page was made at 6:22 a.m. local time, October 7th. Funny thing is, the totally surprise, completely unprecedented, and you know, just took them totally by. They had no idea it was going to happen. Attack happened at 6:30 a.m. local time, October 7th, 2023. So I don't know about you guys, but to me, when I find out that the page for the event was made before the event took place, and it's supposedly a surprise attack, like it's an attack. It's not like they were planning for, you know, the state fairgrounds or some shit. This is a surprise attack. And yet somehow, not only did they make the page 8 minutes before the thing took place, they started laying out the narrative for the next 2 days within that first couple hours. Now, from what I could tell, again, with my investigative journalistic integrity, what the fuck was I just saying? I was reading comments at the same time I was saying something. It made me forget what I was saying. Anyway, just think about that. Think about that. Oh yeah, so they laid out the narrative, and like I said, you had to be a part of the committee to be able to even edit it. But there was like 5 or 6 people that had the ability to edit that were going through, and it was almost like an operation. You would have one that would lay out like the basic part, then one that would come in and check all the spelling and make sure all the spelling and shit was correct, punctuation. Then another one would come in and like reword things and move things around. And then another one would, you know, and this is, you would see this on every addition to the narrative. And like I say, they were laying out what was going to happen for the next like 2 days in that first, I read the first 3 hours worth of narratives. Took me a little while, but I read until about 9:30. And one of the things they said was that Hamas, within the first 20 minutes of the attack, launched 20,000 rockets. Launched 5,000 rockets within the first 20 minutes. That's what it is. Launched 5,000 rockets within the first 20 minutes. And because it all happened so fast, there's no footage of it. Which, again,
does each rocket cost?
Doesn't make sense. What was that?
How much does each rocket cost?
I'm sure the Palestinians, the people in Gaza, have money just falling out the ding-ding. Which is the point, right? There's a blockade that's been around Gaza for fucking ever now. But it's an Israeli blockade, and they stop medicine and food. They even stop lumber from coming in to Gaza so they can rebuild houses and whatnot. Because the Israelis say, the lumber would be used as weaponry against Israel, so it's not allowed to come in. They have a total, like, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. That Berlin Wall was nothing compared to what the Israelis have. And the Israelis, like this blockade that's around Gaza is, they can't get food. They can't get medicine. Like, it's a total blockade. They were also keeping Israelis from going into the area and pulling Israelis out for days, weeks, even prior to October 7th, for some strange reason. But 5,000 rockets in 20 minutes is 4 rockets per second. Somehow, the Palestinians were not only able to smuggle in 5,000 rockets, but enough rocket launchers to be able to launch 5,000 rockets and 4 rockets per second for 20 minutes straight. How many rocket launchers does that take? Like, how do you reload a rocket launcher so that it can fire again right away? And how many fucking rocket launchers would you have to be able to launch 5,000 rockets? I know you know, the most advanced, best rocket launchers will be like on the back of trucks, and there'll be like 16 rockets in the thing, but the Palestinians don't have that, right? They just have like basic cheap rockets. Where are they getting all their weaponry from? The rocket launcher is just a base. Right. Yeah, it's just a base. It's like a bottle rocket, right? It's just a bottle rocket. That's all it is. 4 per second. Yeah, that makes sense, because they were just shooting bottle rockets. I'd love to see anybody launch 5,000 bottle rockets in 20 minutes. I'd love to see how you would do that. What setup you would have. How many people you would need to do. Just that level of stupid says everything. This is why I don't even bother. Yep, it was Iran. Iran did that, yep. Iran brought all those weapons in so they could launch this attack and then stayed the fuck away for the last year, not helping at all. What makes more sense? Does it make more sense that A, Israel is lying, but along with that Israel launches the rockets into their agreed upon airspace, into the agreed upon coordinates, so that their Iron Dome can shoot all them down, and then they have the reason, the excuse to now do the attack that they have already ready already. All the targets are already planned, all the troops are already ready, all the vehicles are all loaded up, gassed up with all the weapons and everything. The response is immediate, almost like it's planned. It's that, or somehow the Palestinians, the Iranians, smuggled in 5,000 rockets and 5,000 bottle rockets. You know, these are just bottle rockets. That the Palestinians, who know full well Israel has the Iron Dome, and that if you shoot shit into Israeli airspace, it is 100% going to get, 99.9% going to get shot down, unless the system analyzes the rocket's trajectory and realizes it's not going to hit anything, then they might let it fall. But, like, if I'm a Palestinian, the last thing I want anyone doing is shooting a rocket into Israeli airspace that's going to get shot down and then give them the excuse that the world accepts for them to commit genocide. What Palestinians are supporting it? How come nobody ever shoots rockets directly into Israel? Why is it always up in the air? Like this is the kind of shit that I guess you just don't think about. Because again, most of you have only been following this since you were told to follow it. But yeah, it was Iran. Iran who did everything to get the Palestinians into this, knowing that they would just be slaughtered and that Iran would be the next target. Iran would be blamed. Iran. That makes sense. And then they just back off. They don't get involved. They don't help the Palestinians. Nothing. They don't smuggle in more weapons so the Palestinians can defend themselves. That's not happening. So ask yourself again, now, understand that this is all American tax dollars. Instead of American tax dollars going towards pedo hunter groups, going towards veterans groups, going towards women's groups, going towards family groups, feeding homeless people, fixing the roads, fucking whatever, it's going to Israel. So they can do this. And me pointing it out makes which Americans mad again? What non-Jays are going to get mad at me for this and be upset about this? Like, you guys are just stupid. What does Iran do to its women? Right. Because you hear me talking about being pro-Iran, don't you? I'm all about Iran. Isn't it amazing how because you can't argue what I'm saying, you make up your own narrative? Like, and so we're saying that all of these American citizens don't think it's weird that the page was created beforehand. You have no opinion on that whatsoever, huh? No thoughts. Why was there a Wikipedia page created before a surprise event? How is that even possible? Other than it's fake or it's orchestrated, how is it even possible? Oh, man. When you gotta go, you gotta go. Oh, Jesus. So, in that same report, in that same thing I was reading, the Israelis also claimed that almost immediately they killed around 1,500 Hamas within Israeli borders. Not sure how, other than obviously they just call Palestinian citizens Hamas and then they kill them. They admittedly killed 1,500 Palestinians, civilians, innocent people, almost immediately if they were within the Israeli borders. So then you get this narrative that you hear consistently to this day. The reason why Israel is allowed to do what they do, the reason why there's not more international outcry is because the Palestinians started this. They started it on October 7th. Never mind that the Israelis had killed 273 people prior to October 7th that year and taken thousands more hostage. And this is just on fucking record. It's probably a lot more. Like 50 of those people killed were children. Never mind that. Never mind the death toll year after year after year, but that had been increasing because of Israel's nightly raids. Israel was killing at least one person per day, while taking no casualties other than the occasional soldier that they claim something happened to, or some friendly fire, or blah, blah, blah. All these different operations that Israel was running. Operation Breaking Dawn, where they were killing admired leaders in the community and then attacking because of the response. Like, it's really disgusting how Hollywoodism has manipulated Americans into being such heartless, like, disgusting soldiers, disgusting little robots. If it was the Jays that you know, you can't even talk bad about the Jays, let alone if they were getting killed left and right in some situation. You know, they still claim the whole hollow hoax thing. They still milk that. They're just running out of the ability to, because all of the people from around then are starting to really die off. The forgotten Jays here in Russia, they need your help. It's disgusting. It's fucking disgusting. So you're hearing that the reason why Israel is justified in killing well over 200,000 people and displacing millions more and all this starving people and, you know, just the worst of the worst, violating all the Geneva conventions, using white phosphorus, poisoning wells, you know, just doing everything they can fucking do. It's all because they claim around 1,100 people in Israel were killed on October 7th. They word things very carefully. It's not an accident that every single news broadcast repeats that phrase in that way. Nobody says around 1,100 Israelis were killed. You know, you never ever hear that narrative. Around 1,100 innocent Israelis were killed on that day. Remember, after they were supposedly invaded, a fucking festival was still allowed to continue. And for some reason, no one at that festival had their phone out. The only videos you see are of people running. You don't see anything to justify what they're running from, where they're... Nothing. There's just a few videos that show some people running. Why was that festival even allowed to continue if they were being invaded? And the only proof you have that Israelis were killed is a list of names. They put out a list of names and they're like, see, this is proof. Here's a list of names. Look, they're all very J. And the thing is, again, it's like, I don't think you guys are paying enough attention. Because on October 21st, 3 weeks after October 7th, now we're just taking a little side note here. We're on a little sidebar here because it's connected, don't worry. But October 21st, 3 weeks after October 7th, to the day, a J community leader here in Detroit was found stabbed to death on her front walkway in her rich posh J neighborhood, blah 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 blah. When it happened, the news was all about, we don't know if this is connected to the Israel-Hamas thing. We don't know. This could be connected. Because again, if a J is killed, it can't just be like somebody died. It's fucking silly. Right? It's just somebody died, but because they're so much more important than everybody else, it becomes this international incident. I mean, again, somebody was found stabbed. People are killed all the time. You don't hear about it. doesn't make national news. And yeah, this chick was a J community leader, but that doesn't mean shit. She was just propped up in the community. That doesn't mean like anybody knew who she was outside of the community. But it turns out her boyfriend, her J boy, when it happened, like I say, the news was all about, you know, could be this, could be that, could be this, could be that. And I told my wife when we heard about it that, watch, when it turns out that it was her husband or a boyfriend or something, the story will just disappear. When they can't milk the Israel-Hamas connection, it'll just disappear. Well, it turns out, multiple weeks later, her J boyfriend, who happened to be on psych meds, mind you, another one of these people on psych meds, he took a double dose of his psych meds that day, hit his weed pen 4 times, and called the police, talking about, I think I killed my girlfriend. I don't remember it, but I think I killed her. Seemed like totally did one of those fucking not man enough to confess confessions, you know? And so he's arrested, he's brought in, and when he's brought in, all identities are hidden. For some reason, they're determined to hide his identity. It didn't even come out till later on who it was and what it was all about because of the trial. But they were hiding his identity. They released him without any charges or anything. They actually ended up giving him immunity. The guy that confessed to doing it was given immunity because they wanted to put it on a black guy instead, Michael Jackson Bolanos. Michael Jackson Bolanos is not a good dude. He was out that night burgling cars looking for things to steal. The crazy part is, like again, this is just another murder, right? This is just a fucking murder. This isn't like anything crazy. This is a murder. This isn't like a president or something like that. This is just some person. Well, because they wanted to put it on this Michael Jackson Bolanos character, apparently they were able to go around to all of the places, all in the city, and find his exact route of travel from when he left his house miles and miles away to all this, you know, this holder. They got all the security cameras they could find. And then when it comes to her rich J neighborhood, where there's probably way more security cameras than anywhere else, the trail kind of goes cold. And there's all sorts of details and shit that, like, they don't make any sense. But he ends up getting arrested that night for burgling cars, and eventually they end up charging him. And they you know, when it comes to like lawyers and prosecution and shit, they don't just willy-nilly charge. If they can't get 100%, if they don't think they can 100% get the conviction, they don't even try to do it. They'll go for whatever things they're sure they can get. Whatever charges they're sure 100% that they can get. Well, the judge in this case, another J. Now you think, this woman is a J community leader in Detroit, and this person is a J judge. It's pretty likely that they met each other. They know each other. You know, that's just how that works in small communities like that, but especially in that racist supremacist community that they live in. So the defense tries to get him to recuse himself because, one, he's a J, and having that J connection 100% means he can't like he's going to be biased. And he proves it by interrupting the opening arguments, adding a bunch of charges, adding hate crime charges. It's a hate crime. Because a J is killed, it's a hate crime. It's amazing how that works, and which means there's more punishment. You get more punishment because it's a J. But they, the prosecution didn't go after those charges because they didn't think they could get him. They had an extremely weak case to begin with. Not to mention, the fucking boyfriend called and confessed to doing it. But he was given immunity. He was cleared somehow. We don't know how he was cleared. None of that detail comes out. But he was cleared and given immunity. And when he was given immunity, he was then allowed to testify at the Michael Jackson Bolanos trial. And he was obviously guilty. Like, the defense made him look guilty. But he had immunity, so it didn't matter. After well over a year and a bunch of obfuscation, because they weren't transparent by any means with this case, they can't find Michael Jackson Bolanos guilty for any of the shit. So they instead find him guilty of lying to police. Oh, look, Anthony is flying the pedo flag. Joe is flying the pedo flag. If you fly the pedo flag, you're getting removed. From here on out, you keep flying it, you will be removed. That is a pedo flag. Fly it proudly and get removed. There you go. Goodbye. Keep flying the pedo flag. Anybody that wants to fly the pedo flag, you can get yourself removed. Anyway, yeah, I'm telling a fucking story, dumbass. I know you think it's all about you, but it's not. You just don't want me telling this story because you probably know where I'm going with it, and you know how bad it makes you people look because you're disgusting fucking pigs. And you know you can't argue anything I say, so, whatever. But hey, at least we know you want my attention. So they give Michael Jackson Bolanos 18 months to 25 years. Have you guys ever heard of a sentence like that before? You ever heard of somebody getting 18 months to 25 years for lying to police? Almost like they're trying to get him, to keep him away. So tell his story.
All right.
Isn't that strange?
All right. Well,
isn't that strange how that works out? Always works that way. But what's even more strange, let's go backwards now, right? Because this is why I was talking about this. Right. I have to give context for the story.
All right.
I have to give context to the story because,
that's perfect.
It's pretty fucking crazy.
All right, honey. Okay.
It's only the people flying the flag. It's Jesus Christ. I didn't even know she got out.
Well, they had her in rehab, and then Medicare
cut her off.
Kicked her out of rehab yesterday. So he brought her home in the morning, and by the evening, she was back in the hospital because she was hemorrhaging from her nose. They couldn't get it to stop.
It's all good. Trump's a good guy. So, like I said, she was found dead on October 21st at 6:30 a.m. And what was at the time a completely unsolved, they had no idea. There was no, there was no Michael Jackson Bolanos. There was no boyfriend. They had no idea what was going on. It was a completely unsolved, unknown murder. Now remember, to prove that around 1,100 people in Israel were killed on October 7th, they gave you a list of people, right? There was no funerals. There were no funerals. Can't say no. There were a handful of funerals on October 11th, or October 7th, 8th, 9th. 1,100 people were said to be killed. And the Samantha Wool's story adds to that, because there were again, there were a handful of funerals. It wasn't like there was 1,100 funerals. And we know that the Jays, the morning edition, talk about how over 1,000 people attended her funeral and how beautiful it was. They sort of hide it, but if you just pay attention real quick, you have to ask yourself, this is a high-ranking community member, apparently, but it's not like it's a government agent or anything like that. This person is found dead at 6:30 a.m. How could you possibly have a funeral that over 1,000 people attended in a few hours of this person being dead, found murdered, with no suspects, no nothing? They don't know what's going on. Shouldn't there be an investigation? Isn't there an autopsy? Why would this person's autopsy jump all of the... It's Detroit. Lots of deaths every night.
So what would be the easiest?
How would this person's autopsy... How would this person's investigation... How would all of this shit leapfrog everything else that was already scheduled that day? What about the funeral home? They didn't have any other funerals scheduled? The cemetery didn't have any other graves going on? They were just able to... All of this was able to take place within a couple of hours of a high-ranking community member?
Yeah.
In an unsolved murder? Because J Customs... It's weird, too, because even with J Customs... They're supposed to be put into the ground within 72 hours of being, of dying. So they didn't need to put her in the ground that quick.
I don't know. He doesn't do tech.
Unless she'd already been dead. But why would they? Why would they happen to? Why would they do that? Why would they? She was found stabbed, like had multiple stab wounds and shit.
Yes.
How does Jay beliefs override, legal protocols? But it shows you that their shit is way more important than anything else. Their shit is more important than legal precedents and investigations and all that. Another example of this is the supposed synagogue shootings. You guys remember those from 2018? There were 2 of them. They happened 6 months to the day apart. The first one was done by a guy named Robert Bowers Jr. Funny thing about Robert Bowers Jr. is go look him up. He only exists starting in 2015 he had a traffic ticket. But there's nothing prior to that. And in January of 2018, Robert Bowers Jr. appears on what at the time, I don't know if it still exists. I never even heard of it before, but apparently the news said it was a white supremacist version of Facebook. It's called Gob. Never heard of it. But apparently... He didn't have Facebook. He didn't have the Twitter, the X. He didn't have Instagram. He didn't have anything like that. He had a Gob account. He had an account on a thing I've never even heard of. But that's where he had his account. And he appears in January starting to be like, man, I don't like the Jays. Man, I don't like the Jays. And he's posting all of these supposed not liking the Jays comments for the next couple months. At some point, he buys a couple of pistols, and he's like, I'm going to do something about this, blah, blah, blah. Now, you would think, like, if it's the white supremacist version of Facebook, then the FBI is probably monitoring it. I know fake agent Liam X. Where the fuck is Liam? Good old Liam's completely disappeared, huh? Isn't that weird how Liam has completely disappeared?
That's what I was worried about.
Told you Liam would completely disappear. Liam was the guy who supposedly got in an argument with somehow got the president of YouTube's email and was demanding something or other, his video, I don't know. But Fool made some threats talking about if you think that the Facebook shooter was bad, the guy that went into Facebook and shot or something, just wait till you see what I do. He made some kind of statement like that. And the FBI swooped in and arrested him at a coffee shop, and he was disappeared for at least a year. Gone, nothing. But this guy on the white supremacist site that's talking all this stuff, and then eventually posts a picture of his pistols and says, okay, today's the day, I'm going to go do something about this. The FBI wasn't watching then. He then goes to the synagogue that on a Sunday of all things, like he doesn't go on Saturday when there would be a lot of people there. He goes on Sunday where he like kicks in the door and starts shooting and blah blah blah. According to the first responder, it looked like the first 6 people laid down in a row and then were shot. Like, you know, they were dragged in place. This guy who wanted to cause all the carnage he could went to a synagogue on a Sunday, and the average person killed, the age was like 72, but it was only that low, because there were two guys who were retarded, whose parents had recently died, and they had just become wards of the state, so they became the state's problem. Those 2 guys were there, and they were like 59 and 61 or something like that. Those were the 2 youngest people killed. This guy that wants to cause all this carnage kills 2 retarded guys and nothing but old people. Really old people. People who, if they died of natural causes, you would be like, oh, that's too bad. Yeah, they'll be missed. All of those people. The average age without the 2 retarded guys would have been like 80 years old.
I'll talk to you later. All right, bye.
So that's what you do, right? When you want to cause as much carnage as you can, you go kill old people and retarded people. I think the total was 13. And of course, this is the one instance where news cameras, helicopter, nothing. There's nothing there. The only news cameras that are there are kept like a mile away from it. A couple blocks away. So that every once in a while you can see some troops go run in front of the camera or something. Or you can hear what sounds like firecrackers going off in the background, far away. But there's literally no footage of any of it. The police end up coming in. They have a shootout with the guy. He gets hit in the leg. As he's taken out, he's yelling expletives and he hates the Jays, blah, blah, blah. He's taken in an ambulance to the hospital where he does nothing but yell expletives and how much he hates the Jays. He's then taken to court right away. Right? Where he, does nothing, yell expletives, and he's locked up forever. He gets a life sentence, a double, triple life sentence, locked in the deepest, darkest holes, And nobody ever wants to interview him or anything. Nobody wants to find out motivation. Nobody wants to know anything about this guy. We love us some Charlie Manson. We love us some Jeffrey Dahmer. We love us some Jack the Ripper from the 1800s. But the guy that went on this crazy shooting spree, nobody wants to hear from that guy. No. Good old Robert Bowers Jr. And there's literally no footage of any of it. Not the arrest, not the hospital. Nobody at the hospital got their phone out and was taking video. Nothing. Did you just call me Gay Williams? Oh my God. Oh my God, that hurts my feelings so much. It's so new and creative. I've never heard anyone say it before. And oh my God, that hurts me so much. Who cares if you're too stupid to actually even know what I'm talking about, let alone make an argument? You said Gay Williams. That hurts my feelings. AKA wants me to go she wants to watch me shower.
Gross.
What a fucking weirdo, dude. Go have your little fantasies. Go hook up with that guy. Fucking weirdo. Who the fuck says that shit? Go shower. Come on. I'll give you some money. If you want, there's a video. Killing Me, Smalls. I'm in the shower. You can go watch it. It's a younger, better looking version of me, too.
But your hair. Was your hair like this?
It was long.
They like the hair.
You're killing me, Smalls. It's on YouTube. Or it's on Facebook. You can find it. Go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/The Bilderberg Group Official. It's there. You could probably just look up Killing Me Smalls, TBG Music, and it'll pop up. But what do I know? Go watch me in the shower, you fucking weirdo. Again, why would any Americans, why would anyone not want me telling this story? Why would the Jays not want me telling this story? This is a story that makes them look like the victims. You know, their synagogue wasn't as modern as they wanted it to be. It wasn't like it was run down or anything, but it wasn't as modern as they wanted it to be. And they wanted to redo it for years prior to. It just, they didn't want to spend the money. Go figure. Luckily for them, because of what happened, the government paid to knock it down and build them a new one. Brand new, bigger, better, faster. Fuck yeah, we paid for that. Tax dollars. None of you think there's anything weird about that story? You just said, yeah, that fucking makes sense. Of course, yeah, that makes sense. Why would anyone fall for that shit? It's literally the only thing I can think of where there weren't news cameras allowed to be anywhere near it. Why? Dude had some pistols. Think about how every single time there's some sort of event, some sort of shooting, all of the innocent people, all of the victims that are still left over after the police intervene are led out of wherever they are with their hands up, and they're walked to a tent or something where, you know, what they're doing is covered so helicopters and shit can't see, while they're, you know, taking cell phone video or taking cell phones, deleting videos, whatever.
I don't even know what to say there.
Okay. Biatch. So that takes us to 6 months to the day later, where a guy called John T. Ernest, this guy's a kid this time, he goes to a synagogue where he has like a military grade AR style rifle. He kicks in the door. The details are kind of scarce, so it's hard to actually put the timeline together. But he kicks in the door, and it's like a back door where the rabbi is doing his little speech thing. And apparently he kicks in the door and he starts shooting, or he shoots, and he kills one woman. And as he goes to shoot again, the rabbi somehow reaches up and grabs the muzzle of the gun, and the guy shoots, and it blows off the rabbi's middle finger. You know, big ass AR style rifle shoots you point blank in the hand. It's just going to take off a finger. No, it's not going to. No. Why would it rip your whole fucking hand to shreds? No. At that point, someone in the audience stands up and starts shooting. And John T. Ernest goes to shoot again, but his gun jams. And according to the rabbi, he was carrying children out of the synagogue after this. Had his whole fucking finger blown off and was not a child, was carrying children. Old rabbi. But John T. Ernest, after his gun jams, he then runs out, gets in his car, drives down the road, calls the cops, turns himself in, pulls over. They say pull over on the side of the road. He pulls over and he waits for the police. Which totally makes sense, right? That's what you're going to do. Turns out there was a little girl who was supposedly hit with shrapnel in her face and on her leg. She was interviewed the following day. When they asked to see the spot, she was like, oh, well, they've healed up. You know, because they've healed up. And then she gives this speech that is clearly like, she goes Trump, you know. She's like a happy da-da-da-da-da child, and then she goes to give the speech, and she's like, da-da-da-da. And then there's too much violence against the people, and like she's clearly doing a rehearsed speech. But later on in the day, after the rabbi was released from the hospital, after having his finger blown off, his hand is in a blue and white cast. And he's giving this speech where he's like, and it has to put a stop to the violence. With his hand, his blue and white casted hand that he had operated on hours earlier. If you've ever had your hand operated on, they give you something called a local, which is they numb your arm from the top down. Maybe they'll do it from the elbow down, but with me, it was from the top down. And and your arm, when it's numb like that, it's not like what you think, where your arm just sort of hangs sitting there. It's like your arm is like, it just flops all around. It's the craziest. It's so crazy. It's so heavy. And it's really a testament to how much just regular life is actually taxing on our bodies. We just don't realize it. But to think that the guy was able to raise his hand and give one of these speeches within hours of just, it's so stupid.
Definitely did not have a nerve block.
Right. And how are you going to have your finger that was blown off?
I had my finger operated on, my little tiny finger, and I had a nerve block. And yeah, it felt like it was 5,000 pounds.
Dead. It's just dead.
I couldn't feel it. Actually, it just felt like weight hanging from
Right.
your shoulder.
It's the weirdest fucking feeling.
It is.
And because of these two narratives, the Jays are the most persecuted people in America. And the funny thing is, there are like groups that track these kinds of things. And so basically, anytime somebody says something a Jay doesn't like, they call this agency, the ADL or the JDL or whatever, and they're like, somebody said something that I didn't like. And I go, okay, hate crime. And they keep track of all these, and they then claim that the Jays are the most persecuted people in the world or in the country. Can you imagine if black people called a hotline every time a white person called them a nigger? That shit would be ringing off the hook. It would never stop. It would be at 24 hours a day. There would just be call after call. Yep, white person. Yep, nigger. Yep. White guy, yep. Okay. All right, thank you much. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Like, it's just insane. But going back to the first synagogue shooting, happened on a Sunday. Half of the bodies were buried on Monday, the other half on Tuesday. Now, if they were to happen to have, a car accident with a couple of old people in it, or they had worked it out with 13 families. Hey, we're gonna make your family members martyrs in the community. They're on death's door anyway, so getting ready to pull the plug anyway. So if we all pull the plug on the same day, we can have, 11 victims. Like, we're gonna kill the two retarded guys. We don't want to take care of them forever. That's crazy. But if they pull if 72 hours is the limit, and the thing happens on Sunday, that means if you need to get them buried by Monday, well, late Friday up through that Monday is within that 72-hour period. So maybe if one or two died on that Friday, and then another, 6 or 8, whatever, plugs were pulled or something on that Saturday, and then Sunday you had another 2 or whatever, you get your numbers. And you can make these martyrs out of these people. Again, the funeral parlor, the funeral agency, whatever, in that town, that small little Philadelphia town, the one that happens to always be at the center of controversy, like when the measles epidemic broke out and we all had to go get pokes for the measles before COVID. They tried to get us to take the pokes for the measles and we wouldn't do it. But they said that there were over 1,200 cases of measles that broke out in these 2 small J neighborhoods. Or no, there were only 1,200 cases, 860 plus of which were in these 2 small J neighborhoods. We definitely didn't shut down, we weren't, because it's an obvious Israeli connection. We didn't stop travel to Israel. They tried to get us to vaccinate for measles. We just wouldn't do it. Just think about that. How would it, how as crazy as the Samantha Wool case is, think about that. There's the shooting that takes place on Sunday. On Monday, they can't just use any fucking funeral parlor. They have to use J funeral parlors. We're saying that not only were the cemeteries ready, but all the funeral parlors and all that shit were ready to handle 6 bodies within 24 hours and another 6 bodies later, the next 24 hours? How? How? How do you do that? How do you get all of the people that want to be at those funerals all there within 24 hours?
They're a tight-knit community where it travels fast.
Word can travel fast as you want. People still have limitations.
Pigeons.
Especially, I mean, you would assume there would have to be some Israeli relatives, right?
Yeah.
You have another story earlier in 2023 when supposedly, whoa, two Palestinian militants went to a random gas station in Israel and opened fire, killing 4 people. They then escaped, one of which was killed by the IDF. Another one was killed by a settler, a random settler. And that just, now Israel gives us the entire narrative. Because, yeah, look, these 2 guys are dead, so they must have been the shooters. Right? We say they shot us. Now they're dead, so that makes it true. The 4 people that were killed, one was an elderly man, one was like a 30-something, or I don't know, 40-something. But 2 of them were girls that were under 25 years old. In response to this shooting, this alleged shooting, a bunch of settlers got together for what they call a rampage. What's officially called a rampage. It's on the books as a rampage. And what that means is Israeli settlers form a large line, long line, and as they walk, they like step on flowers, they burn anything they come across, they beat people up, they break windows, they just cause mayhem. It's a rampage. And it's sanctioned and protected by the IDF, who then stays behind the people as they do it. And anybody that fights back or, does anything, the IDF then arrests them. So your choice is either let these people destroy your shit, or they destroy your shit and you get arrested. Or killed. I mean, they often just kill them too. The settlers waited to do the rampage until after the funeral, after the girls were in the ground, they said. The rampage took place 2 hours after the shooting. So I know you guys like to believe that I'm crazy here. How do you have a funeral they're shot, there's an investigation, there's a funeral, and they're in the ground within 2 hours of being dead?
2 hours.
2 hours. How does that one happen?
That doesn't. They can't even get the hole dug properly. And the body involved in the 2 hours.
That's what they did. I mean, but that'd be the same thing in the Samantha Wool case.
I don't know. They may not embalm their bodies.
Okay. There's still an investigation that needs to go through.
Well, not if they caught the guy at the scene.
They didn't catch the guy at the scene.
I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. They knew the cause of death, so it doesn't matter if the body gets buried while they're investigating or not.
There's still
that part, no.
There's still an investigation that has to go in. Boxes have to be checked. And then family has to come to the funeral. Both girls had no family other than within a few minutes. I mean, even the notifications of family members that this took place. And the point to all of these stories is to show you how, when it comes to J funerals, they override law, they override protocol, they override common sense. That's how important funerals are to Jays, that this person is honored with their funeral. And so how can you have over around 1,100 people in Israel killed, and there's no evidence of 1,100 funerals? Shouldn't that have been everything, like the only thing that was going on for the next couple days? But no, the only evidence you have that anybody was that any Israelis were killed on October 7th is because the Israelis issued a list. You have no proof that any of the hostages are like, the whole narrative is literally just manufactured bullshit given to you. Like, we are better than this. That's the thing. That's just it. Like, understand that the reason the Jays do this shit is because they know how stupid we are, how easily distracted we are, how quick we are to like attack each other. We've been programmed to attack each other over the situation. Ad hominem is programmed into our DNA. You know, people don't think that manufactured stories can happen, but they don't know about the Munt-Smith Act, which is, you know, the act, the legislation the U.S. government passed that allows them to use propaganda and false stories against the people. I don't even know why they would have to pass legislation for that shit, but they did. But there's stories that exist, like the High Shalom story, Haishaullain. High, which is a biblical name, Shalom, right? This dude was apparently, according to the narrative, he's the number one thorn in the side, you know, truther, protester in Israel. He's the biggest pain in the ass for the Israeli system, especially when it comes to pokes, and masks, and just everything COVID. Like, he's the embodiment of the truther that doesn't do COVID. The truther that refuses to get the poke. The story is, he was arrested at a no mask rally, meaning he was standing with a bunch of people chanting, you know, they were all yelling. None of them had masks on. It was a no mask rally. So all of their schmutz, their schmutz was getting everywhere. All the particles, all the clouds of germs, the germs. We'll talk about that in a minute. All of the germs were spreading everywhere, but he was arrested. And he was taken to prison, to jail. And 2 days later, you know, the sterile jail where everybody has their pokes and everybody is always wearing a mask, and it's a sterile environment. It's a jail. It's a jail. He's taken to the hospital 2 days later with what turns out to be super ultra mega COVID. Like, I didn't hear about anybody else that had.
I'll be there in a minute.
That had this kind of COVID. Right? That you know, he got the super ultra COVID because 7 days later, this guy who's in custody is allowed to release a statement somehow saying that he is too sick to talk or respond, and that with prayer and good medicine, he should have this beat in 2 to 3 weeks. But if he dies, it's because the police poisoned him. He was poisoned when in jail. They injected him with something. The next day, he dies. So he went from not having COVID and being free to being arrested, taken to the hospital, arrested 2 days later, taken to the hospital. 8 days later, he was dead. It was 10 days total that it took super COVID to take out Hoy Shaloin. Woo. And he's the number one thorn in the side, anti-mask, anti-pokes, pain in the ass. He's the number one guy, me, in Israel. And yet, because how we're all like, no, fuck that, I'm not taking that shit, blah, 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 blah. Well, he's dead. And, obviously within a day, he has his funeral, or they have his funeral. His brother is interviewed. His brother is asked, do you think if he would have known the outcome of this situation, he would have taken his poke? And his brother says, of course not. God damn it. And that's the end of the story. None of his friends, none of his relatives, nobody demands an investigation into his claims that he was poisoned by the police. Also, nobody that was at that mask rally turns themselves or checks themselves into the hospital and dies 10 days later with super COVID. You would think if he had COVID enough to be taken to the hospital on Tuesday or 2 days after being arrested, he would have probably had the COVID in his body at the time. So he was out there, ha-ha-la-ha-la-ha-la, ha-ha-la-ha-la-ha-la. And yet, nobody else got his germs. Nobody else was infected by his germs. Super COVID germs. So it's funny because you then go like, well, he's the number one guy, right? He must have a whole bunch of Facebook and Twitter, and he must have all these stories about him if he's the number one guy in all of Israel. Turns out there's not a single story about him. Not a story, no Facebook, no Instagram, nothing. Almost like he never existed. I wonder why. Let's look some stuff up real quick. Hi, meaning in Hebrew. Hi means alive or living. What? Well, I don't know how to break it down. I don't know if it's shul. Let's see. Shal, Shau, L means asked for or prayed for. Shaulain. Line is not a Hebrew word. It is past participle of the English. No, that's Lain. Shaulain means resting. Let's see. See, I don't know what else this. I don't know if I'm doing that right. Let's see if I can. Let's see if I can find this story. Hi, Shaulain. Oh, let me try that. Lian, meaning in Hebrew. Does not have a direct translation, but if used in biblical context, it would mean likely to be interpreted as very or exceedingly. So, alive, prayed for exceedingly. That's that guy's name, huh? Gotcha. All right, let's check this out. Hi, Shaulain. Aulian. Hi, Shaulain. Should we read the Haaretz? Would that make everyone happy? If my source is the Haaretz, okay? This is my source. My source is the Haaretz. That's the guy, the Haaretz at the top. I don't like you because you don't show your sources. Is this enough of a source for you? The Haaretz, is that good enough? Prominent anti-vaxxer dies of COVID. His followers remain unwavering. Even as his condition deteriorated, Hi Shaulain posted a message to his followers urging them not to give up. What? Okay. Some of them now believe that he was killed by the Israeli establishment for revealing the truth about COVID. You know, because this is one of these things that shows you how I just make shit up, right? All I do is make all this up. You know what? You are correct. Let's reset. Pedophiles, kill yourself.